Hello. And welcome to Rise Above Poverty, Volume 1.
This is not just a book, it's a wake-up call, a rallying cry, and perhaps even a slap on the wrist for anyone still flirting with the idea that poverty is just their destiny.
It's not. No, and no, it cannot be.
In this volume, we'll dive deep into the why behind you need to rise above poverty, and trust me, it's not just about buying a fancy car or showing off on social media. Per contra, let's be honest, that wouldn't hurt.
Poverty is a silent thief that robs you of your voice, influence, and opportunities. It's like a guest you didn't invite, sitting on your couch, eating your snacks, and ruining your life. That's parasitic and sinister, isn't it?
Over the next 8 chapters, we'll dissect how poverty operates, why it's so persistent, and why you absolutely must evict it from your life. Along the way, you'll get a mix of gripping stories, a dash of humor, and a whole lot of thought-provoking insights.
And don't worry, Volume 2 has your back with practical, step-by-step strategies to kick poverty out the door for good. But first, we need to deal with the mindset, the excuses, the fears, and yes, even the comfort zones that keep poverty hanging around.
So, buckle up. You're about to embark on an academic and yet entertaining journey that could change the course of your life for good. So, let's get started with Chapter 1, where we begin unraveling the why behind the fight against poverty.
In this first volume, we focus on the why. Why must we confront poverty? Why must we treat it as a personal and collective enemy? Through thought-provoking arguments and relatable insights, this book will show you why poverty is more than a condition, it's a battle that demands your attention and action. In Volume 2, we will move from understanding to action, equipping you with the tools and strategies to fight and ultimately overcome poverty. Together, these 2 volumes are designed to inspire, challenge, and empower you to take control of your future and break free from the grip of lack. Part 1. The silencing power of poverty. The state of being poor is an enemy that everyone must fight until we destroy it, and see wealth enthroned in our lives, because poverty silences a person. This is how poverty plays on people. You might be very intelligent, gifted, strong, and full of knowledge and wisdom, but if you are poor, your voice will not be heard, nor will people listen to you. The poor are seen as those who know nothing, and their input is not valued. People prefer the voice of the rich to the voice of the poor. There is an old song that says, "The poor has no mouth to talk because he has no money, but when you come around the rich, whatever he says is taken to be true." The Bible also informed us that the voice of the poor is not heard. Proverbs chapter 9 verse 16 states, "And I said, better is wisdom than might, but the wisdom of the poor is despised, and his words are not heard." If a rich man and a poor man have problems, the rich man will use money to go on air, in newspapers, and other media to make a hullabaloo of noise, even if he is guilty. Meanwhile, the poor man, who is in the right, will have no means of making his voice heard. He will be silenced because he is poor. Added to that, the poor man might have greater ideas than the rich man, but those ideas will remain inside him, while the rich man will use money to back up his lesser idea, and people will buy into it. A preacher might have a greater anointing and more powerful messages, but if he is poor, the rich pastors with lesser anointing will back up their small anointing with money and packaging. People will flock to the rich pastor instead of the poor one. Even if the rich pastor is talking nonsense, he will use money to polish that nonsense, making it appear as truth, while the truth is held down by poverty and left unheard. When Queen Jezebel sent men to accuse Naboth falsely, no one gave the poor Naboth a chance to speak. Instead, they stoned him without hearing from him. That is a rich wicked Jezebel taking the life of righteous but poor Naboth. What a strange paradox, and reality of the irony of poverty. You can't do that to a rich man. When Joseph was a slave in the house of Potiphar, Potiphar's wife attempted to assault Joseph, but he escaped. When the case came up, no one gave Joseph a chance to speak, only the woman was given time to speak, and Joseph was thrown into jail. Real-life examples. First, how an ugly lady used money and fame to suppress a beautiful woman. A striking example of this phenomenon can be seen in the entertainment industry. One such case is the rivalry between two popular figures, where one, despite being physically less appealing, used her wealth, connections, and media influence to overshadow and suppress the more talented and beautiful rival. A well-known incident involves a famous actress who, backed by a powerful media empire, managed to silence the influence of a more natural, but less publicly recognized, beauty. This power dynamic wasn't based on talent, but on money and exposure, proving that in the world we live in, money and fame often speak louder than beauty and talent. Secondly, how a brilliant boy ended up being a gatekeeper to his classmate. A real-life story that exemplifies this is the case of many students in prestigious institutions where wealthy families often hold sway. A brilliant boy from a humble background studied hard, had the grades, and showed exceptional potential. But his classmate, who was far less intelligent, had influential parents who used their wealth to push him through every barrier. The wealthy classmate eventually rose to a higher status, becoming an influential figure in their community, while the brilliant boy, despite his potential, struggled to find opportunities. He ended up working as a gatekeeper in a job below his intellectual capacity. This situation showcases how financial power can overshadow merit, and even the most brilliant minds can be sidelined by poverty. Thirdly, the rich man's voice everywhere while the poor man's struggle to be heard. In politics, we've often witnessed how the voices of the poor are drowned out by the rich. During elections, candidates with vast wealth use their resources to flood the media, build an overwhelming presence, and promote their agenda, no matter how uninspiring or harmful it might be. On the other hand, a candidate from a poorer background who might be far more qualified and knowledgeable struggles to get their message across because they cannot afford the platforms, advertisement, or media coverage. It's a sad reality that the poor often cannot break through the noise created by the powerful, regardless of how much more competent or suited they are for leadership roles. Again, the issue of a businesswoman and the poor innovator. There are countless stories of poor innovators who are often ignored or exploited by wealthier, more powerful individuals in the business world. A particularly striking example is of an inventor who created a life-changing product, but lacked the financial resources to patent and market it. A wealthy businesswoman, seeing the potential of the idea, bought the rights to the product and pushed the inventor aside, profiting from his innovation while he remained in obscurity. Oh my God, I was heartbroken when I saw how a poor man watched a rodeo took over his wedded and loving wife because of poverty. Sure, those demonstrates how poverty can strip a person of the ability to control their own creations and ideas, allowing wealthier individuals to thrive off their labor. Friends, we must fight. Beloved, we must rise and resist poverty. My dear, fight poverty assiduously in your life and ensure that you defeat it so that your vision, ideas, truths, and destinies can be seen and heard. We must fight poverty so that our rights can be defended. Do I need to go on and on? No, you can personally add a longer list than I can because this topic is in the real world. Remember, if you do not join the suit against poverty and rise above it, it will silence not only you but possibly an entire generation. Will you allow that? Get ready for chapter 2. Subscribe for quick notification of the next chapter. See you soon.